The slam dunk is one of the most exciting moves in basketball history. It doesn't matter if you're a casual or a diehard fan, a good slam dunk gets your blood pumping and lifts you right off of your seat. It is an old move, but it is still one of the most iconic. And today we're going to be talking about the first man to ever pull off a slam dunk and why he didn't play in the NBA. Also, after the massive response to the Ultra Game giveaway, we've decided to make it a regular thing. Yep, you heard that right. Now you have a chance of winning an awesome NBA Men's Soft Active Sleeveless Jersey Tank Top t-shirt every month. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel and the Ultra Game channel, whose link will be in the description below, then like this video and drop a comment with the name of your favorite team, and you stand a big chance of winning it. Remember, subscribe to both channels, like and drop a comment, and that's all. So without further ado, let's take a look at the life of Bob Kurland, the granddaddy of dunks. Now, I know you're gonna say there were lots of people that pulled off dunks in the playground before Bob Kurland, and you're probably right, but he's still the first man recorded to have pulled off a dunk in a professional game. So for all intents and purposes, he's the first man to pull it off. To put into perspective how great a feat the dunk was back then, let's take a brief look at how the basketball scene was. The year 1945. Goaltending was legal because no one saw the point in criminalizing such an impossible feat. Only 8 years prior, the legendary Coach Allen of Kansas noted that the colleges at the time had 33 players taller than 6 feet 5 inches. In his college basketball history, All the Moves, Neil Isaacs reported that Allen was concerned that the emphasis on height would diminish his valuable game. Now we're talking about ancient history here. We're talking about the days when Johnny Wooden coached high school basketball along a Kentucky river. Purdue's Johnny Wooden was your typical All-American player at the time, a scrappy little guy who penetrated if he couldn't get his two-hand set shut off. Fog Allen could see into the future even if he didn't like what he saw. He signed his own 7-footer who drowned before making it to Kansas. Then at the age of 13, Kurland, who was 6 feet 6 inches, left his hometown of St. Louis to play for Allen's coaching rival, Henry Eba. Allen referred to Kurland as a glandular goon. Kurland quickly demonstrated that his extraordinary height, the equivalent of an 8-footer today, was only a factor in his success. He was also unusually coordinated and combative. Even as a sophomore in 1944-1945, Kurland had his first game against George Mikan, the 6'10" center from DePaul, who would later become the first dominant big man in professional basketball. While he may not be a household name outside of Oklahoma State, Kurland was one of college basketball's first stars, as well as the inventor of the dunk at the collegiate level. He was a 3-time first-team All-American who was twice named the NCAA tournament's most outstanding player during Oklahoma A&M's back-to-back national titles in 1945 and 1946. During his 4-year career, the Aggies went 99-22. Now, an interesting side note is that Kurland's imposing size and skill at the rim prompted the NCAA to enact a rule prohibiting goaltending. It is likely that Kurland had more to do with the rule against goaltending than any other player because he was, the main target of the rule according to Oklahoma State's media guide. When goaltending was still legal, he blocked 17 shots, including 10 in the first half against Oklahoma. How many players have had a greater influence on basketball strategy and rules than Kurland, who introduced the dunk to college basketball and was so good defensively that goaltending was banned? I can't think of any, to be honest, but if you can think of any more players more influential than him, feel free to mention them in the comments section below. Now, the million-dollar question and the entire purpose of this video is, why did such an influential player never play in the NBA? Well, the short answer is, the NBA was not attractive then. Let me explain. The NBA was still in its infancy at that point, and while it was a good profession, it didn't offer financial security. If Kurland was dominating the basketball scene today as he did back then, there'd be a lot of teams who would pay him millions to play for them. But things were very different then. Kurland had 2 options at the time, but neither would make him a millionaire overnight. He could join one of the struggling pro leagues, as did a contemporary giant DePaul's George Mikan, or he could participate in the thriving AAU program in which major corporations sponsor powerful teams for public relations purposes and provide on-the-job training as a career company man. When asked about his decision, Kurland said, "When I graduated from college, the professional league had no idea what it was doing or where it was going. We knew that if they could get a facility like 85,000 people at a basketball game for $10 a ticket, somebody was going to make money out of it. Mike and I both had offers ranging from $15,000 to $17,000 for a season. As time passed in the next year, the money probably increased to $25,000 or $30,000. But you also looked around to see what was going to happen in terms of the type of business. But you can see where this is going. You knew that where there's big money, there's always someone who knows how to amass some of it. I just wasn't cut out to be a whitewash salesman, to put it mildly." Perhaps he was taking a dig at the league management at the time, as it seems like some things never change. Instead of pursuing and gaining notoriety in the professional ranks as the preeminent big man like Mikan, who played at DePaul and eventually finished with the NBA's Minneapolis Lakers, Kurland took a job at the Phillips Petroleum Company, continuing to play as a member of the company's Industrial League, Amateur Athletic Union (AAU) team, the 66ers, and leading them to 3 national titles and a 369-26 record over 6 seasons. Kurland was also able to serve his country twice as a member of the United States Olympic team, first in London in 1948 and again 4 years later in Helsinki by maintaining his amateur status. The United States won gold at both games, the second and third in a row that would become a streak of 7 consecutive and 9 out of 11 through 1988, the last cycle in which only amateurs competed. Kurland said carrying the American flag at the closing ceremony was the most thrilling experience of his athletic career after winning his second gold medal. Now, there are certain insinuations that Kurland wouldn't have cut it in the league, but that's just rubbish. He got offers from several teams, including the Knicks, but he turned it down. Though he is still overshadowed by Mikan to this day, their college matchups were nearly even. Mikan defeated Kurland in games 1, 3, 2, and points scored 77-64 in 5 meetings. However, single digits decided each game, and aside from winning their final game, Kurland also won their most important one, a 1945 battle at Madison Square Garden between his NCAA champions and the NIT champs DePaul, dubbed the Clash of the Titans. While the Aggies held the more skilled scorer, Mikan, to just 9 points in this Red Cross War benefit game that doubled as a champion showdown, the more defensive-minded Kurland tallied 14 of his own to lead the Aggies to victory as college basketball's undisputed champions. So yeah, he was no slouch, and if he played in the NBA, he'd be sitting comfortably in the top 5 greatest players to ever hold a ball. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed hearing about the granddaddy of the slam dunk, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and put notifications on to get new content as soon as we drop. See you in the next one.